Invincible is one of the most infuriating shows I've seen in a while. It's a show that has the potential to be something special, but because of the lack of focus in the plot, the dragged out storylines, and the inconsistent power levels, I just can't bring myself to care about this show on a serious level. Invincible is a basic ass superhero story that gets most of its hype from being really violent. And even when being extremely violent, the show doesn't even do that right, because due to the insane plot armor in the show, damn near every character after season 1 survives the most outrageous shit like they're a fucking Looney Tune character, which takes away the impact of the violent moments. Rex getting shot in the head and surviving, Shrinking Ray being eaten alive and surviving, Alan getting ripped to fucking shreds by the Vultramites and surviving, Conquest breaking Eve's jaw and punching right through her, she survives. Like, there are so many instances where characters are brutally injured and survive that you quickly start to realize that all the violent shit is just for show. It doesn't mean anything. Like, seriously, Immortal is basically a test dummy in the show, because no matter how brutal his death is, the nigga just comes back like ain't shit happened. But maybe that's my fault for not taking the show's title too serious. I guess when the authors named the show Invincible, they weren't just thinking of Mark. And speaking of Mark, the handling of his power levels is so bad that it completely ruined my viewing experience. Seeing him have the hardest time with these NPC ass villains were fucking killing me, bruh. Like, I understand he doesn't want to kill anyone, so he's suppressing his power, but does that mean I have to sit here and pretend like he isn't capable of one-shotting these motherfuckers? Am I supposed to sit there and keep watching him struggle against some measly ass sea monster and ignore the Vultramite that's one-shotting it? Should I just ignore Mark's little brother, who is significantly weaker than him, one-shotting the Mahler twins who were whooping Mark's ass? How is it that Mark can beat the shit out of a Vultramite, but he's struggling against a giant centipede? How is it that for 2 seasons, the show has been telling us how Mark turning into his father would be detrimental to Earth, yet when a bunch of evil Mark variants come to Earth, these random ass heroes do perfectly fine against them? All of it is too distracting. It shouldn't take 2 whole fucking seasons for him to realize that killing bad guys is okay. Mark wants to prevent the Chicago incident from happening again. How the fuck is he going to do that when he's refusing to kill the people that are likely to cause it? This realization from his character shouldn't have taken that long. It's fucking common sense. The end of season 2, when Mark killed this Timu ass villain, should have been the moment where Mark realized that killing villains for the sake of humanity was okay. Everything was set up perfectly for this realization to come full circle, but instead the writers thought it would be a good idea to stretch this Mark not killing people shit all the way to the finale of season 3, which was hot ass. Shit was straight gorilla cheeks. This motherfucker Conquest just shows up out of nowhere with no build up and starts wrecking shit. Dead ass. And because of this colossal ass pull from Eve, which she's never done before, Mark gets the drop on Conquest and basically did the same thing to him he did to the Timu nigga from season 2. It was a very underwhelming conclusion for a season that had little to no direction. Besides Cecil, Oliver, Alan, and Nolan's storylines, the rest of season 3 was just a bunch of random shit happening, followed up by a Mark and Eve cuddle session where they basically talk about their day or some other shit. Like, I'm not lying when I say Mark and Eve probably did more fucking than actually growing as characters, because if you really pay attention, season 3 ain't that much different from season 2. Cecil worried about Mark turning into his father, Mark himself worried about turning into his father, Mark trying to maintain his morals of not killing anyone, Debbie trying to move on from Nolan, the Chicago incident affecting Mark's psyche, everyone being mad at Mark for what he did in Chicago or another dimension, Alan and Nolan planning to break out of prison, Mark killing 2 villains, tricking the audience into thinking Mark killed someone when actually they end up surviving, which in turn ruins the impact of Mark's development. Hell, Mark even beats them the same way by bashing their heads in. And then you have Eve continuing this live a normal life storyline, which has been dragged the fuck out since season 1. All this shit happened in both seasons 2 and 3. The only relevant difference is the inclusion of Oliver and Cecil's storyline. You also have the different members members of the Temu Justice League growing as characters, but they feel so irrelevant in the grand scheme of the story. Besides Eve, of course, and that's only because she's fucking the main character. Also, season 2 seems to be more plot focused, while season 3 feels really fillerish with the amount of random storylines introduced that don't really connect well to the overall story. It's almost as if the authors didn't know what to do after season 2 and resorted to recycling the same story, but with a little bit more context and less direction. Season 3 should have focused more on Alan and Nolan's escape, as well as Mark's behavior after finally accepting the fact that he has to kill people to keep Earth safe. Season 3 could have been the arc where Mark becomes the true Viltrumite and washes anything that's a threat to humanity. His father literally tells him in season 2 to stop holding back and fight like a real Viltrumite. Why not build on that? Have him get carried away with his power and have that be the conflict between him, Eve, and Cecil. Give Cecil a real reason to fear Mark. Have Mark realize he's got carried away with his power by watching Oliver mimic his actions. This new black suit Mark is supposed to represent his Black Spider-Man phase, right? That's what the co-creator said, so why not go full throttle on that shit instead of giving us the same shit we've seen in season 2? It'll not only create different storylines that'll develop Mark's character and relationships, but it'll also be progressing the story towards something. Also, why were Rex and Amber race swapped? You know what? I know why. I don't even know why I even asked that dumbass question. Speaking of Rex and Amber, these are easily the two most controversial characters in the show. Amber is a solid character who plays a crucial role in helping Mark grow emotionally, especially when it comes to love, loss, truth, and trust. My only issue with her is how the story handled the moment where she revealed she already knew Mark was invincible. This revelation retroactively changes the context of her earlier frustrations, such as when she gets upset at him for being late or leaving abruptly, which made the story feel inconsistent and made her come off as a bitch. Now, I understand she was mad because Mark was keeping his secret from her, but my point still stands. With Rex, a lot of people like his character because of how brash and supposedly well written he is, but I don't think Rex's storyline is as good as people say. His whole character arc is that he fucked damn near every girl on that fake ass Justice League team, and with the last girl, he chooses to do right by her because he realized during a near-death experience how bad he treated the other girls. It's a real low quality, low hanging fruit ass storyline that is just whatever. There's even a moment in season 3 when he gives Mark advice on how to hook up with one of his exes, and it's some of the goofiest shit I have ever seen on a TV show. Overall, Rex is a very annoying character. He had a few funny moments, but he didn't really bring much to the story. Now, I want to highlight the positives in Invincible because I do believe it has some good qualities. The one thing Invincible excels at is illustrating the complexities and consequences of a superhero's lifestyle, balancing action with emotional and moral nuance. It's cool to see Mark battling to maintain his personal life and hero life. It's dope that the story puts him in difficult situations that forces him to go against his beliefs. It's cool to see Eve learning how to be more mature with her powers and building a more organic lifestyle and relationship with her parents. I like that the series portrays Debbie as a fully developed character with her own issues rather than just some background parent. Hell, it's even cool to see the Temu Justice League have a storyline where they go against Cecil and understand their value. I can go on and on about how Invincible does a good job at humanizing their characters. It's just that given the direction the story is going in with the Viltrumite Empire, some of these storylines, specifically with the Order and the Temu Justice League, kind of feel pointless in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, these storylines help flesh out certain themes and characters in the story, but they feel like filler storylines that don't contribute much to the overall story. You combine this with the main character's storyline being dragged out over multiple seasons, and what you have is a show that suffers from terrible pacing. Another thing Invincible excels at is building tension. Like I said earlier in the video, Invincible gets most of its hype from being extremely violent, but I think it's a little deeper than that. While yes, the extreme violence played a huge role in Invincible's success, what I think made Invincible really popular was the construction of season 1 and how carefully it builds suspense through character dynamics, narrative pacing, and mystery. Season 1 of Invincible is tension executed to damn near perfection thanks to the handling of Omni-Man. His hidden motives combined with Debbie and Art's growing suspicion that he killed the original Guardians generate a slow building tension. At the same time, the emotional emotional build-up between Mark and Nolan adds another layer of suspense. You can feel the inevitable clash of ideals coming, and when it finally happens, it hits really fucking hard. It's no doubt in my mind that season 1 is the season that put Invincible on the map. Unfortunately, after season 1, the series loses that edge. The tension that once defined the show is diminished by an overuse of plot armor, which makes it hard to take the stakes seriously. On top of that, the mystery that drove so much of the first season is gone, leaving later episodes feeling flat and more predictable. But all in all, that's all I have to say about Invincible. There isn't really much to say about a 24 episode series, especially when the series isn't progressing the story much. Like I said in the beginning of the video, Invincible has the potential to be something special, but if the series continues to stretch out characters' storyline without moving the overall plot forward, it risks being left behind by viewers who will simply move on to the next popular show. Invincible is already heading in that direction, since the only time people ever talk about Invincible is when there's an animation issue or a major fight. And since I'm closing out the video, I'll give you guys my thoughts on the best characters in the show. The best characters in Invincible are easily Cecil and Omni-Man. These two characters have the biggest impact on the story as they develop characters and progress the story. They're also very logical and calculated in how they operate. The emotional nuance in their characters makes me like them even more. As for the main character Mark, he's alright I guess. The only thing that's keeping me from saying he's a good character is his mental progression, i.e. him taking too long to accept the fact he has to kill people to protect the people he loves, because this flaw is what's causing him to get beat up by these random ass NPC villains, and that shit be driving me crazy. Once he accepts that fact and stops simping hard for Eve to the point where he's willing to let his family die to be next to her, then he'll be a good character in my book. And with that, I have nothing else to say. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. I'll appreciate it greatly. It's your boy Trigger Senpai, and I'm out. Peace.